What's going on? What's actually going on in Formula One right now? Can anyone explain to me? I haven't even got my light on. Can anyone explain to me what is going on in Formula One right now? We're live again. We're live again. And do you know why? Because this situation, which seemed like it had sorted itself out just a few hours ago, I was looking like an idiot earlier on when I was like, oh, Piastri's got to deal with McLaren. Then everyone came on stream, was like, excuse me, he's actually signed with Alpine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there has been another twist in the tale. Let me take you back a couple of days, shall we? Shall we go back to Monday when things made no sense, but at least a little more sense than they do now? We had Fernando Alonso, the man who has started all of this. Well, really, Sebastian Vettel has started all of this. So Sebastian Vettel decides to leave Formula One on Thursday last week before the Hungarian Grand Prix. Okay, fine, cool. Nailed it. Absolutely fine with that. Sebastian, we understand. You want to do things with your family. You've got things going on in your life. Fair enough. Then Fernando Alonso on Monday, out of literally nowhere, signs with Aston Martin. What's going on, first of all, with that? And then we delve into the fact that the Alpine boss, the Alpine team, had no idea that this transfer for Fernando Alonso was coming. Zero idea that this was coming at all. Like, they literally found out when we found out. So the Alpine boss at Aston Martin was the first confirmation. The Aston Martin press release was the first confirmation he had of Alonso's switch. Alpine team principal has revealed he only learned that driver Fernando Alonso would be departing the team at the end of the season when he saw Aston Martin's press release announcing the move on Monday morning. Okay, fair enough. That has happened now. What on earth? How on earth has Fernando Alonso done this? Well, at least for Alpine, they've got themselves a good... at least for Alpine, they've got themselves a good old backup driver. At least in 2023, you know, the fact that Alpine had 3 drivers on the cards and we were debating where they were going to be able to fit all 3 in. Okay, they've lost a driver in Fernando Alonso. At least they've got 2 because Oscar Piastri is here to save the day. And we earlier on talked about the fact that Oscar Piastri obviously was talking to other teams. He was well within his rights. Fernando Alonso is having a really good season. Esteban Ocon's got a long contract. We thought Oscar Piastri might end up going to a Williams, might end up going somewhere else. Some little rumours had said he might be talking to McLaren, and Mark Webber in particular, who is his manager, had been talking to various teams. Here is Oscar with Mark, his manager. They're talking to various teams. They're talking to Williams. They're talking to McLaren. They're trying to find Piastri a seat next year because that seat at Alpine doesn't look like it's going to be coming. Doesn't look like it's going to be coming at all. So they're trying to negotiate with various different contracts. And then, obviously, because Fernando Alonso leaves, we think, that's fine. Oscar will just take that seat. Then there are little murmurings. There are murmurings. The Alpine contract with Piastri doesn't allow him to join McLaren F1. But there are murmurings that Piastri and his manager Mark Webber had understood to have already accepted a deal with McLaren. So not only had they been shopping around for Piastri, they'd actually taken a deal with another team for 2023. So behind the back of Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso behind the back of Alpine had decided to leave. McLaren had decided to bring in this junior driver for next season to replace Daniel Ricciardo after Daniel Ricciardo had had a pretty poor season. And we were all sitting there thinking, well, this leaves Daniel Ricciardo in a little bit of a weird place, doesn't it? Daniel Ricciardo now completely out of Formula One, maybe, might have to struggle to find a seat somewhere else. Daniel Ricciardo is going to be in a really weird position going into the next season. Like, he hasn't had a good season. He then went behind Renault's back to kind of go to McLaren out of the blue. And therefore, teams maybe, you know, will be thinking about, okay, if he comes here in a couple of years' time, is he just going to switch again if he has that opportunity to win races? Because we know Daniel Ricciardo still wants to win races and still wants to be at the top of the tree. So Daniel Ricciardo was the one in a weird situation. And especially then we thought, oh, okay, Daniel Ricciardo might be okay. Daniel Ricciardo should be fine. And you know why we thought Daniel Ricciardo should be fine? Because literally just a few hours ago, this is what Alpine put out on their Twitter. 2023 driver lineup confirmed. Esteban Ocon, Oscar Piastri shaking hands. After 4 years as part of the Renault and Alpine family, reserve driver Oscar Piastri will be promoted to the race seat alongside Esteban Ocon starting in 2023. And this was at 5:11 p.m. our time. Okay, this was just a couple of hours ago, but it was in the midst of the night whilst Oscar Piastri and probably his manager Mark Webber were asleep. Okay, so we just Alpine, you know, we're French, we're just going to get it out there, we're just going to confirm Oscar Piastri into the team. So everyone is like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. Oscar Piastri goes in. Daniel Ricciardo's probably going to keep his seat. Daniel Ricciardo fans are suddenly looking a little bit happier. They're like, oh, if McLaren have decided to keep Daniel Ricciardo, or maybe they'll have to go for a Herta or an award, something a little bit out there, as opposed to a Piastri. Piastri's a little bit more of a sealed deal. Because he won the Formula 2, because he's been in and around the pit lane so much, Oscar Piastri's seen as more viable option than someone like a Herta or an award. But Daniel Ricciardo looked moderately safe because Alpine had decided to say, you know what? We're going to have Oscar Piastri in the team next season. Then comes this news here. Let me just switch you. So, Oscar Piastri has just come out with this just 20 minutes ago. I understand that without my agreement, Alpine Formula 1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I am driving for them next year. This is wrong, and I have not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be. This is the key thing. It's not like hang on, they did this without me knowing. They did this like behind my back. I'm a little bit confused. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. That is the words that he uses. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. They literally 2 hours ago signed Oscar Piastri, or said at least that they had signed Oscar Piastri. And Oscar Piastri comes out with this 2 hours later. It has gone to absolute chaos at Alpine. Alpine are falling apart at the seams. Alpine are literally being ripped apart from the inside. Esteban Ocon is the only thing that they have to actually celebrate at this point. So not only has Fernando Alonso left the team a little bit shockedly, a little bit out of the blue, Fernando Alonso decides to leave Alpine, decides to go in a different direction. Fair enough. Goes to Aston Martin. They're like, at least we've got Oscar Piastri. You know what? It's been a couple of days since the announcement of Fernando Alonso. Lots of people are asking the question about Oscar Piastri. Let's just put everyone at ease. It's Wednesday. It's a couple of days later. Oscar Piastri, you're signed for Alpine. You're going to be in the Alpine car next year. Oscar Piastri comes in. No, I'm not. Where on earth does this leave Alpine? Where on earth does this leave Alpine? And also, where on earth does this leave Oscar Piastri? Because he hasn't actually said where he is going to be signing. The big rumour before Hungary was that he was going to be signing for Williams. Then over the last few days, then over the last few sort of weeks, he's then been linked more and more and more with this McLaren seat. And especially as, you know, Daniel Ricciardo hasn't stepped up in the way that we thought he was going to. Oscar Piastri has definitely been linked more and more and more with this McLaren seat. And honestly, I think the fact that Oscar Piastri has said no to Alpine, first of all, puts him in a really weird position. That means he needs to find a seat somewhere else. Or it means that he's definitely got a contract with another team already. Like, he might already have a contract with Williams, might already have a contract with McLaren, and that's why he's come out and said, I can't actually drive for Alpine next year. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. Or he is playing the weirdest of mind games and hasn't got a contract yet, but has decided to not go with Alpine and is kind of hoping that he's going to be able to get a seat elsewhere. I'd imagine, if it was me, if I was Oscar Piastri, I would definitely already have a contract done. That means he's either going to go to Williams. In that place, he gets rid of Latifi, right? And I think, to be fair, if he replaces Latifi, Latifi's just gone, right? Latifi just goes, and everyone's like, that's fair enough. Latifi's gone. Okay, we'll find another driver. Oscar Piastri comes in. Latifi comes out. It's kind of a 1-for-1, right? We still obviously haven't replaced Sebastian Vettel on the grid yet in terms of that Alpine seat, but it's a 1-to-1 swap. If Oscar Piastri has got the McLaren seat and is replacing Daniel Ricciardo, Daniel Ricciardo's in a very odd position then, because Daniel Ricciardo had been rumoured to maybe want to move to IndyCar at some point, although he'd said that he really wants to stay in Formula One for the foreseeable future. And Daniel Ricciardo recently said that he sees his 2023 at McLaren and in Formula One. I think we should say that. He thinks that he's going to keep himself a seat at McLaren Formula One. His contract runs out at the end of 2023. Daniel Ricciardo thought, I'm going to be in a McLaren seat until the end of 2023. But if McLaren have already signed a contract with Oscar Piastri that maybe Daniel Ricciardo, one, either doesn't know about, or two, hasn't been able to talk about yet, and therefore, McLaren are kind of keeping it hush-hush, in the same way that Aston Martin kept it hush-hush, that Fernando Alonso was going to move there. Maybe McLaren are keeping it fairly hush-hush. You know, they're like, okay, we're trying to get to the point where, you know, we can get Daniel Ricciardo out, we can get Oscar Piastri in, but we don't want to let Daniel Ricciardo know this yet because he's still our driver, still fighting for points, still fighting for 4th place in the Constructors' Championship. So maybe they were just trying to do it behind his back a little bit, you know, done and sealed deal. Where does Daniel Ricciardo go? The main thing is, as I just said in the chat, Daniel Ricciardo back to Renault. But this is a Daniel Ricciardo who in 2020 went behind Renault's back and signed for McLaren, which was a little bit out there. McLaren were maybe slightly further ahead of Renault in terms of their progression, but not too much. And now we've seen this year that Alpine and McLaren are pretty much level pegging. Alpine's slightly further ahead. If Fernando Alonso hadn't had some reliability issues and a little bit of luck, they would be probably comfortably 4th place at this point because of Daniel Ricciardo's performances. So on pace, they're pretty equal. So Daniel Ricciardo might have to, you know, go back to Renault, go back to Alpine, a little bit of a tail between his legs and say, you know what? I got it wrong. I decided to leave you guys at the end of 2020, decided to move over to the McLaren outfit. It hasn't worked for him. It hasn't worked. He spent 2 years there. He hasn't progressed, in my opinion. If anything, he's gone backwards in that McLaren car. I know he's got a couple of, 4 points finishes over the course of the season so far, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo is nowhere near that level right now. It's just getting all a little bit crazy. All a little bit crazy when it comes to silly season. And like all you have to do is go on Formula One Twitter right now. Pers, Webber to Otmar tomorrow. This is definitely going to be Mark Webber, to be fair. He is going to be livid. I imagine Mark Webber might not even be up yet. or Mark Webber was called at a very, very early hour of the morning and was told to get on the phone to Oscar right now. Oscar, here he is. Daniel Ricciardo, slide out of the way, mate, because Oscar Piastri is coming in, taking your seat next year. By the looks of things, Oscar Piastri is going to be going to McLaren. That leaves Daniel Ricciardo in a very sticky situation. Everyone is basically talking about this. Oscar Piastri to Alpine. Goodness me. George, take it down. Take it down, George. It's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all happening. It's all... Love this. This is the best tweet so far. This is the best tweet so far. Look at how many drivers they got next season. They've got absolutely everybody. And that is, to be fair, everyone is linked with McLaren right now. For some reason, Daniel Ricciardo is just a sitting duck at this point. It's just like, Daniel Ricciardo is gone. Official statement from Piastri. Oh, it's the same one that we just saw. I thought it might be a different one. This is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling to me. Albon to Alpine. Now you're being silly. Now you're being silly. You're being silly. Should we have a little look at it, though? Should we have a little look at it, though? Because it's very difficult to try and work this out. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Stuart, so much. Love that. £2. Appreciate that. Appreciate that massively. McLaren with Lando, Herta, Paolo, Piastri, mental. Exactly. We're going to have... basically, McLaren need about 3 Formula 1 teams at this point. We thought, you know, we needed 2 Formula 1 teams for Alpine so that they could get Oscar Piastri a seat. McLaren are apparently the team that need another seat on top of that. So we've got Verstappen and Perez. Guaranteed. Bang on. We've got Leclerc and Sainz, guaranteed. Some weird people in the comments the other day were talking about Charles Leclerc possibly leaving Ferrari because of this season. Not happening. No way. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, guaranteed for next season. Banging pairing. Perfect, perfect stuff. Easily done. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo is another interesting one. Ooh, why is my alert box below? Daniel Ricciardo, Lando Norris is obviously an interesting one. Lando Norris, guaranteed. Daniel Ricciardo technically has a contract with McLaren till next year. We know that that contract is nowhere near watertight. That contract is basically gone. Daniel Ricciardo might as well be a blacked out silhouette on this. Might as well be a blacked out silhouette because there's no saying as to whether that contract is actually good or worth the paper that it's written on. Daniel Ricciardo is a blacked out. Bottas and Joe. Joe stays for me. Think Joe's good enough. Joe's fine. Joe gets in. Joe's done. Alpine. Oh my God. Alpine at this point. Ocon. Okay. And someone? Who? Anybody? Maybe Daniel Ricciardo? Is it Daniel Ricciardo that goes in here? Because if Piastri goes in here, the puzzle piece of Daniel Ricciardo needs to go in here. If Alpine can't get Piastri, well, they haven't got Piastri. There's no Piastri anymore. Fernando Alonso's gone. Piastri's gone. They've gone from 3 drivers to 1 driver within the space of 2 days. Like, they've absolutely blown it. It wouldn't surprise me if Esteban Ocon comes out tomorrow and is like, I'm also not driving for Alpine. Because why not? Just throw him under the bus even more. All the drivers leaving Alpine. Alpine are now in a very sticky situation where they have 1 driver in Esteban Ocon and they have 1 seat that they need to fill. Remember just a few weeks ago where Alpine were in the struggle of having 2 seats and 3 drivers? No more. 1 driver, 2 seats. Absolutely ruined it. Pierre Gasly at AlphaTauri, guaranteed. Signed, sealed, delivered. Yuki Tsunoda, bit of a 50-50, but has nothing to do with this video, so don't worry about it. Bit of a 50-50. Kevin Magnussen now. Came here from Tomo's stream. I owe my career to Tomo, so like, thank you very much. Kevin Magnussen, signed, sealed, delivered, done. Mick Schumacher, I think stays. Mick Schumacher is by far and away. Yes, Versatile became a member. We're trying to get to 10 members by the end of the season. We've got 3. Thank you so much. Mick Schumacher, guaranteed, done. Mick Schumacher's been good enough. Don't get me wrong, had a very sticky start to the season, but Mick Schumacher has been good enough to keep that seat. Now this is the interesting point, because Albon, I think, has also been good enough. I think Albon stays. Albon's good enough, right? Albon deserves that seat in a Williams. Latifi is now the coin toss for me. Latifi is a very sticky situation because Oscar Piastri hasn't said if it's Williams or McLaren that he has signed a deal with. Many people are got about 50 to 60 subs from Tomo. I got like 100 subs from Tomo. I owe my career to Tomo. Yuki Tsunoda's a big enough fit to fit into the frame. Yeah, I think so, to be fair. Daniel Ricciardo, good go to Williams. Oh, that is such a downgrade, imagine. But then we're talking about the fact that Williams could go for Albon, could go for Sargent, could go for Latifi. Does he stick around? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they stick with Latifi. But if Oscar Piastri has signed a deal with Williams, then that is obviously going to be Albon Piastri. And that leaves Daniel Ricciardo in a really weird situation. Thank you, Nuno, for the sub. Appreciate that massively. That leaves Daniel Ricciardo in a really weird situation because he kind of knows McLaren wanted to get rid of him, maybe. Thank you, Syrian. Good. I'm so sorry. That leaves Daniel Ricciardo in a really sticky situation. Oh my God, what is happening now? Are we just getting? Have we got? Oh, we definitely got raided by somebody. I've just seen the viewers absolutely tick up. But I think Daniel Ricciardo is now in a very sticky situation because McLaren kind of wanted to get rid of him, right? But now he's got to stay for 2023. Or Oscar Piastri has signed for McLaren. That means Daniel Ricciardo slots in possibly here at Alpine. I don't think Daniel Ricciardo... Oh my God, thank you so much for the super chat of $13.99 PLN. Don't know what that is. Very sorry that I'm uncultured, but thank you so much for that. I appreciate it massively. Yeah, bit of a weird one. Bit of a weird one for Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo to Williams. Does not seem like the one to me. Does not seem like the one to me. Daniel Ricciardo to Williams? I don't think so. But I love that Oscar Piastri has just come out with this. Have we got any further news on this? Pato O'Ward is just tweeted with some popcorn. Well, Pato, you shouldn't be very happy at all because that was probably your seat. At least you were 50-50 in it for that seat. Like, he might have got that seat, O'Ward. Lots of people thought it was going to be Herta, although Herta didn't have Herta still doesn't have the super license points. So it can't really be Herta at this point. Unless he does a couple more trials, a couple more runs for the McLaren car. But Oscar. I will not be driving for Alpine next year. That is very poignant to me. That's like very specific from Oscar Piastri, isn't it? That is like, I am guaranteed not driving for Alpine. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Oh, I've clicked the wrong button. Absolutely crazy that this is where we are at in 2022. Silly season's only just begun, my friends. Silly season's only just begun. We are the first 3 days into the summer break. 3 days into the summer break. And already we've got Sebastian Vettel retired. Alonso in an Aston Martin seat. Look at Alonso in that green suit, by the way. Just looks weird. I just wasn't expecting it. Fernando Alonso goes behind the back of Alpine, decides to go to Alpine straight away. F1 have tweeted. I'm going to find it. Don't you worry. I am going to find it. F1 have tweeted. This is it. This could be it, ladies and gentlemen. Is it going to be a juicy little article about Oscar Piastri? What is going on? What is going on? This is absolute mad. I can't see it. Let me just find the Formula One Twitter. I mean, I can show you this as we go along. Should we find it together? Pin tweet, of course. Oscar Piastri said he will not be driving for Alpine next year. Very true. I'm sad to you and not Tomo. Jay Cooper, what a legend. Although subscribe to Tomo as well. He's a very, very lovely man. Danny Rick Haas, we need it. No, Mick Schumacher's been good enough. Mick Schumacher has been good enough. De Vries, I quite like to replace Latifi, to be fair. I do quite like replacing Latifi. The tweet was exactly 7 o'clock, meaning it was not an emotional tweet. Oh, yeah, it was definitely, a planned tweet from Oscar Piastri. And fair play to him. Like, he's not going to be driving for Alpine next season, as much as there's still the pictures of Oscar going around of him confirming that he was going to be there for next season. Oh, no. I can't find anything by Formula One if they have tweeted. Also, how on earth have we got nearly 500 viewers in here? This is not a thing. Not allowed. No, I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you so much for everybody who's just subscribed, everybody who donated. I love to see it. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a big one. Mick to Alpine. What is this article? Exactly, that's what I'm trying to find. Unless I've been absolutely baited. But then I kind of have to go with the team. Because earlier on, I was talking about how Piastri was basically guaranteed to be at Alpine and how it was a really good move for Alpine. And now they are most definitely not going to be at Alpine. Can't keep up with the madness. 1 minute, Oscar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's ruined my Sunday video. My Sunday video was like me filling in the gaps in the Formula One 2023 grid. But it's just a madness at this point. It's not even worth trying to do because it just changes every 30 seconds. It's basically how it goes. So that's how we have destroyed Formula One by this point. Like, Alpine are in the mud. Alpine are done. Alpine are gone. I can't see anything, but I feel like Oscar Piastri to Williams or McLaren is effectively guaranteed over the next couple of hours, maybe. Like, Mark Webber's not even awake yet. He's got to deal with this. And unfortunately, oh my God, the subs are coming in and I can't actually keep up. I can't keep up with you people. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tomo. Shout out to Tomo. Has anyone ever told Tomo that he's an absolute legend? Because I love him. Is Kvyat coming back? No. Mazepin to Ferrari confirmed? No. As we said, we've got this weird situation where we now actually, if Latifi goes, we're in a very weird, stagnant point in Formula One. We're in a very, very strange position. Verstappen, Perez, guaranteed. Sainz, Leclerc, guaranteed. Hamilton, Russell, guaranteed. Norris, guaranteed. Bottas, Joe, I think guaranteed. Ocon, guaranteed. Gasly, guaranteed. Magnussen, Mick, I think also guaranteed. Stroll, Alonso, confirmed. Albon, and... So we've got possibly Tsunoda going. Possibly Latifi going. Daniel Ricciardo very much up in the air. And one spare seat, in my opinion. The Oscar Piastri is definitely going to fill, but it depends who he's replacing and where, because he's not filling the spare seat that is now next to Esteban Ocon. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. I know that it's absolutely popping off in terms of viewership right now and in terms of subscribers, but I don't really have too much more to say. I was kind of going to make this a 20-minute, 25-minute video. So I am going to reluctantly end the stream. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for so much for the subscriptions. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for all of this stuff. I mean, we could just hang out together. Should we just hang out for a bit? I haven't got too much going on. Apparently. I was just prepping for tomorrow's video. If we could all come back for tomorrow's live stream, that one is supposed to be, a couple of hours, because we're going to sort out who's where in terms of the Drivers and Constructors Championships. Look, sound good? Sound good. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed, because that is what we need to make sure that I can eventually do this as a career or something along those lines. If I could just not go back to work after these couple of weeks off, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Can Ricciardo retire already? The problem is Ricciardo doesn't want to retire because he still thinks that he's actually going to be one of the top drivers and still believes that he's going to, if given the right car, win a Drivers' World Championship. Like, he is genuinely he's in the mindset that Daniel Ricciardo thinks he can continue on at the absolute top level when it comes to Formula One. Can I get a shout out? Yes, Victoria, you can. Mazepin to replace Max at Red Bull? Nope. I hope Jesus comes. Ricciardo to Alpine. That is the next thing, right? That's the next possible domino to fall, is if Ricciardo does get replaced at McLaren by Oscar Piastri, there is the seat at Alpine. He's been there before. Right? So he was at the Renault team. He's got connections there. But you've got to remember, Daniel Ricciardo kind of stabbed them in the back a little bit. If we saw the Drive to Survive episode about that move with Daniel Ricciardo, Cyril was not a happy bunny. He was not a happy boy about Daniel Ricciardo moving on to McLaren. It was a little bit of a stab in the back. I know that it's not Renault anymore and it's Alpine, but it's still kind of the same people. And I think that would be a very interesting sort of turn of events. But there we go. I am going to end the stream there, though. We've been going for half an hour, and I can't see any more details coming out. I was hoping that maybe Oscar Piastri would add to his little tweet 49 minutes ago, but he has not. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back tomorrow, possibly with more news on the driver market, because Alpine have now got to react to this. Alpine are going to have to come out with something, right? They just literally said Oscar Piastri is going to be their driver in 2023, and he's just said no. So how do Alpine come back from that? How do Alpine come back from the Fernando Alonso situation at this point too? They haven't really addressed it too much. So Alpine, very much the ball is in their court. Also, I really want to know where Oscar Piastri is next season. If Oscar Piastri is going to McLaren, that is huge. If Oscar Piastri is going to Williams, slightly less. And I feel like maybe would have been talked about already, although they probably want to keep Nicholas Latifi happy for as long as possible. If he's going to McLaren, that is massive. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again, Tomo. Legend, person, beautiful man. If you want to check out my podcast, then you also can. That'll be linked in the description down below. That's me, Cars with Connor, who's a lovely little lad, CF Racing, and On Track. Check out those three. They are my beautiful friends in the Formula One space. They do exceptional stuff. If you want just ramblings of genius, you go to Cars with Connor. If you want sim racing stuff, CF Racing's your man. If you want perfect analytical breakdown of events and Formula One races, you go to On Track. All three of them are absolutely wonderful. Check them out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for the tier list of the drivers and the constructors in the first half of the season. It's the mid-season reports. Thank you so much again. I'll see you next time.